I want to talk about psychedelics, specifically how psychedelics can behave as a lens that distorts information such that you can gain new insight on baseline nature of information itself. Most people who take LSD, they come out of it with this insight, or at least they say that they have this tremendous insight that they gained from the LSD, and it was just too intense, too complicated, and too alien for them to be able to adequately explain it. Skeptics of this insight will say the reason why they feel as if they got that insight is because of distortions. The information inside of your brain was distorted and it led to the illusion of insight. The idea of a psychedelic lens is that claim is as absurd as it would be if you had applied it to a microscope or a telescope, because microscopes and telescopes, they also alter and distort information. The light that you are seeing passing through the lenses is distorted. So to say that the distorted information that psychedelics provide is invalid because it's distorted is like saying, oh, well, just because you look through a microscope and you saw something small, that doesn't mean anything because you're not looking at reality. You're looking at distorted, incorrect light. And so whatever it is you're seeing in that microscope, it has to be an illusion because it's not the correct light. I get so sick of people saying that psychedelics can't provide the insight that they do because all they're doing is distorting information. Yes, that is all that they're doing. That's why they provide the insight. There's a baseline human framework that exists inside of the brain. The software of the brain, it has this baseline nature, foundation on which everything is built, including language. Language is built above and on top of this baseline framework. You have had this framework since you were born, and if you haven't altered this framework, then it's the only framework that you know. So if reality is made out of something weird that requires a different framework in order to understand, it would be impossible for you to access that until you change your framework. Physicists who try to understand reality, to say that they're trying to understand reality is a little bit misleading. They are, but what physics does is it makes predictions, or in other words, it uses information. There is a difference between learning how to use information and learning what information actually is. The default human brain, the default human software is incredibly good at using information. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We are astonishing when it comes to making predictions and using information, detecting these patterns, which is why physics has been so successful, because it does adequately reflect reality, but it doesn't tell you what information actually is. It just tells you how to use it. The default human brain, the default foundation on which our software is built, is not designed to understand what information is, which is why we have such a difficult time doing so. We know that information exists. We know it has patterns. We know that we can use it. We know that we can make predictions about it, but we don't know what it actually is. Why does it exist at all? When you alter your mind, your consciousness, the software inside of your brain with psychedelics such as LSD, I personally think that LSD is the best one if you're trying to gain insight. The alternate framework that you have, because you'll have a new framework, a new software that you've never had before, and it's almost, LSD is magic. It's almost like it was designed specifically for understanding what information actually is, which is why so many people who take it, they feel like they have just had this whole secret to the entire universe revealed to them, because they literally have. When someone who has taken LSD returns to sobriety, they experience often an extreme frustration because they can't adequately explain using language what they have learned. And that makes perfect sense because language is built on top of our default framework, and they altered that framework. So whatever language they would need to describe what they saw, we don't have it. Our language isn't designed to reference that type of cognition. I've spent over 10 years of my life trying to figure out how to explain it, how to overcome the limitations of these language so that I can adequately explain what it is that you learn when you alter the baseline framework of your mind. And I think that I've gotten very good at it, at least better than most people I've seen. And I'm going to be making more videos where I attempt to explain what you perceive on the other side. But at the end of the day, you have to experience it in order to truly understand it. Join the cult.